Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I track my inventory on Microsoft Excel, which is the preferred system I use. Some people like to use Google Sheets. It's up to you, whatever you're comfortable using. I use Microsoft Excel because I've been using it for years and years on end. Got used to it, so that's where I usually go to. Right, so to begin, so you look at my screen, I have my Excel tracking sheet. Hide that there. My Excel tracking sheet, right? Now, based upon how you label your inventory, I have yet to get a hold of any shelves due to the current situation that we're in now in New Jersey. It's really difficult for me to go out and get some shelves since everything's basically closed. And I can't find any good ones on Craigslist. Actually, I did. I found a few good ones, but the people didn't want me until everything's over. So, it gets a little tougher and tougher and tougher until things open back up. But generally, what I usually do, I'll create like a little column here to put in the item number. It would be A1, B1, A2, B2, whatever label I decide to put on it. I'll just create a separate column and put it there. But for now, I have my item posted. The quantity. So I label, how much I have. The date posted. The day I sell it. Then I have what's called, where I put it, where I list it at. eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Facebook. And I put the little flea market. So eventually, if flea markets reopen up this year, if they reopen up this year, then I'll put it there if I have to. And my COGS, or cost of goods sold, cost of goods. The way I do it, you can do it a little bit differently than I do, is if I do things in a bundle, let's say, I'll go to March. See, in March, I had it a little bit differently. So, don't be afraid to get it. Don't be afraid to start out not perfect. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Like in February, I had it the same way. January, the same way. And April, added on more to it. So this is kind of like almost my final draft. Eventually I might add one or two things depending on how I change up how I store my inventory and how I manage tracking and stuff. But for now, this is the way I do it. The most simplistic way I could think of doing it. If you could add more, what I'll do is I'll include this in a Google Drive in the link in the description of the video, so you guys will be able to go in, download it, and pretty much change it and adapt it to whatever you want to do with it. However you benefit from it. Basically, what I do is, when it comes to multiple items, I'm actually gonna open up mine because this is my father's, or my father's store. That's the other store I'm running. And I'm actually going to open up mine, which I just started tracking. Got enough computers. There you go. Everybody wondering, that noise is my shaker. I'm going to work out after this. So, for example, right? I have those iPhone waterfall cases. My cases, I have multiple items here. What I do is I take the initial cost and multiply it by the quantity, and I put it on my cost of goods sold and my posted price. See, what I like to do with it is I leave the cost of goods sold in that very month that I post it. I don't transfer it over. For example, right, what I do is, if I don't sell all of these in March, or I'm sorry, all of these here in April, then I'll transfer this very item to the spreadsheet in May by copy and pasting this very spreadsheet. And what I do is I erase the cost of goods sold, because every time I sell something here, I'm just going to put what it cost me and the profit after fees. Now, I don't usually subtract the cost of goods sold, because what I do, and I'll explain later, is I transfer all these, I tabulate it at the very end, and I transfer it over to my monthly, what I call my profit tracking sheet, and for the month of March. For the month of April, I'm sorry, I'm like a month behind. Tell you how bad quarantine is. And if this little screen on the bottom is shown in my video, you guys can see that my illustrious hair has grown. I look like I'm in a Harry Potter movie, like when he was in year 4. So what I do is I posted price, cost of goods sold. You see this iPhone, the case cost me $3.91, which in my opinion was a really bad deal. I'm never doing that again. General rule, if you're getting phone cases, try to get them for like $1 or less, because then you can wiggle around selling them for $4 or $5 and get rid of them really quickly, especially if you have a lot of them. So that's when it comes to multiple items. That's what I do. You can do things differently. It's up to you how you want to run your business. Generally, I do it this way. Accounting wise, is less complicated for me. I'm gonna go back to the other store. Let's see. So eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Facebook, and eventually, if you do flea markets, you do flea markets. So generally, when I sell an item, for example, this Marc Jacobs watch, I sold 1 for 2. Poshmark. See, the one thing I forgot to include is the day I sold it. Now, what I'll do is I usually go back. Actually, go here, and we're gonna merge. And oh, well, that didn't work out. So you gotta love Control Z. Oh, there you go. Now I leave my things color coded because I like color coded stuff. You can change it and make it all white. It's up to you, whatever your preference is. Now, whenever I sell something, I usually put the date sold, which I didn't in this case because I forgot, which means I have to go back into all my trackings before I work out and find out when I sold this, which is pretty simple to do, and label it. So what I do if I sell something on a specific platform, as you can see, the X is where I've actually listed this. So an Authentic Coach watch, I listed it on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and the Marc Jacobs only on eBay and Poshmark. I didn't actually put it in Mercari. So if I sold it on a specific platform, I highlight it because I'm going to later put that in as a transaction, and when I go to my next spreadsheet, you understand. So I sold it for 25, listed it for 50. Oh, alarm. Listed it for 50, sold it for 25. When it comes to Poshmark, as you guys know, they charge the customer shipping, so they don't charge me shipping. It's already included in what would be my profit after fees. There's no PayPal fee because I usually do direct deposit straight into my account. And the selling platform fee, $5, and you get profit after fees, which is $20. So that's your preliminary profit after fees. It's not your preliminary profit after everything, including taxes, if you have to pay taxes if you have an LLC. Which in my case, with the Cited shop, does not have an LLC. But my other shop, Beyond Villafuerte, is an LLC. So if I sell something when it comes to Beyond Villafuerte, if it is taxable, I'll know and I have to report it for taxes. As you can see, Beautiful Creatures Blu-ray, sold it on eBay for $4. When it comes to sold price on eBay, I like to include everything the customer paid, including shipping, because it makes it a lot easier for me to subtract. So, cost me 50 cents. Posted price $4. Sold it with $7.30, including the shipping. Shipping is $2.80. PayPal fee was 50 cents. The selling platform fee, I'll eventually update it with the monthly tracking sheet or monthly invoice that eBay does. Now you can actually modify it and it'll show you the eBay fee per item that you actually sold. So it's a little bit easier to see, how the fees are distributed among the items that you actually sold, which is pretty cool at eBay to do, because if you're really into tracking your inventory and want to know exactly what you sold and how much it costs you, it'll help out a lot. And my profit after fees so far is $3.50 until I found out what that little number is. As you can see with Facebook, Paw Patrol DVDs, I sold 2 of them. They cost me 50 cents each, so they were $1. I sold both of them for $4. With shipping, I actually charged this person shipping. It's $6.80, $2.80 shipping, and there's no platform fees whatsoever. So my profit afterwards was actually, if I'm not corrected, $3.50. Right. Follow my own cardinal rule. $3.50. Boom. Then I sold the Keurig on Facebook for cash. It cost me $2, $25, and I made $25 off of it, right? So when it comes to cash, do I track cash? Yes. How? Like, I do it this way. I'm actually going to include it. It's a real simple way for me to track cash. Basically what I do is this right here, this blue section would be what I generate that day. So for example, I hope this isn't mine. I think it is mine. Alright, yeah, this is mine. I don't generate that much cash because I don't sell that much stuff on Facebook Market. I myself, out of my inventory, I don't sell much. If I do, then it's something weird, or I do like a little service here and there where I earn my little cash, my petty cash. So basically what I do is I input on this here how much cash I got in, how much cash I spent, and what I have left over. It's $27. And I sum it here. I don't sum my expenses because they're my cash expenses. Unless I start earning like a lot of cash, then eventually I might have to do it. You can do it actually. You just put like a little column here, put it red if you want, and sum up each red thing, each red little box, and boom, you get a result. So when it comes to week 4, cardinal rule, I spent $17.78. I put negative $17.78, and voila, I got what would be considered negative cash, or cash that I spent. So one good way to track cash. For example, if I sold that item for $25 on a Friday, I put 25. Let's say I sold another cash item for $30. I put $30. I made $55. Say I don't spend anything. Boom! I made $55, or whatever the amount was. That's one way to track your cash when it comes to sales. I do recommend to track your cash because that's one of the hardest things. If you report taxes, especially if you make like in general, like maybe a full-time amount or a good part-time amount, 12, 15,000, and you have an LLC or a business, and they ask you, or that's the only thing you do, and they ask you, oh, how much did you make? And you have to track your cash. Then don't be like my father, who when we went to the tax office, they asked him, how much did you make? And he had to literally sit there for a good hot minute just to figure out how much he made. You want that report on hand because you want to know how much you made. So generally, this is how I track my inventory. Of course, it'll change and update as I go along and improve the business and get better at it. It'll improve. Or if you find a way to improve it for yourself, like I said, download it and go for it. Now, in general, after I start tracking everything, you go at the end of the month, or towards the end of the month, usually in about 6 days at the 29th, I usually go and start recording what would be my transactions. My eBay transactions, the sales, the fees, the PayPal fees, the shipping, my eBay gross earnings, and then I put in the magical cost of goods sold and my eBay net earnings. So what I usually do for April, or for example, I do list every single cost of goods sold for that specific month. Even if this is a negative number, it doesn't matter, because I am going to literally add this at the very, I'm going to do a sheet for April, May, June, July, August, etc. all the way to December. At December, and then I'm going to do one end of year. I'm going to call that tracking sheet end of year, which means at the very end of the year, I'm going to track everything including December, and cost of goods sold, my eBay net earnings, because if I leave that cost of goods sold there, let's say I sell all those phone cases in May, then my net earnings will be higher, or typically mathematically what should be my net earnings for the month of April, but I'll just track it in May. So mathematically, when you add everything up, the numbers make sense. So technically that's a good way to track your numbers. I mean, that's, to me, that's a realistic way of tracking your numbers, because if you're going to go back and start updating April every time you sell something, then you're going to pretty much be wasting valuable time that you could be using for sourcing and stuff like that. So profit tracking, like I said, don't be afraid to mess up. Take your time. Actually, I would dedicate a whole day just to profit this one sheet. Dedicate maybe half a day or something like that, or as much time as you need to throughout one day, just to make sure you got the numbers right. Because at the end of you want to make sure these numbers are right. You want to make sure that you're tracking everything correctly and you're not messing up your numbers, so you know realistically what you're looking at. So don't be afraid to have that negative number there, especially if you're just starting out and you have a lot of cost of goods sold for that month and you barely sold any of it that month. Don't be afraid, because next month you're not going to put the same cost of goods sold. But if you do sell those items, you're going to go back and be like, okay, I sold these and now my net earnings are higher, which was supposed to be the month before. And I do the same thing for Poshmark. Generally, what I do when it comes to cost of goods sold, I put an asterisk on the actual cost of goods sold if I do cross-listing. So let's say it's the same one, phone cases here, here, and here. What I do is I put an asterisk, and I only recorded the cost of goods sold for one specific platform. Say I chose eBay, then I just included in my eBay net earnings. And what I do with my cost of goods sold for Poshmark is I don't include it there. I can, but I wouldn't, because then I'm including cost of goods sold for all three platforms. I mean, you can. Let me do the math. You actually can. The math would actually make sense if you do. Actually, it wouldn't. Well, it wouldn't, because you're going to put cost of goods sold. So it's up to you. I mean, I think I might actually erase it and just put gross earnings. And see, let's think about selling multiple items across different platforms. So I think I might just erase the cost of goods sold. It's up to you, however you want to track it, whatever makes you comfortable. I'm actually erase the cost of goods sold and just put it at the very end, where this section right here. I'm just going to put it there and leave that out of it, and just put it as my gross earnings without cost of goods sold. So that way, when I add up my gross earnings right here, cost of goods sold, subscriptions, utilities, pre-tax profit. If I make any quarterly tax payments, which one of my stores has to, and the side shop doesn't have to, but what I'll do for him is tax payments, I'll put that at 0, and net profit after taxes. Right, so what I'll do is I'll erase the cost of goods sold for me, because it's a little bit easier. So what I'll do is I'll just erase that. I'll just erase that for now, and just include all my cost of goods sold here. My revenue before, that's going to be my total sales across all 3 platforms, without actually including that's going to be my revenues. My transaction fees will be my eBay fees, the sales fees, if eBay fees, the fees, fees all across all the platforms. I'll add them up and put them here. Shipping costs, I'll add them up and put them here if I have to pay any, most likely out of eBay. And gross earnings, that's going to be my gross earnings, and then I'll subtract it from cost of goods sold. Subscriptions that I have, office utilities, I have a big LaserJet printer that I use for my insurance business, so I use that for here too. Pre-tax profit, so I understand what I made before taxes. Any quarterly tax payments or tax payments I have to make that month. Boom, I'll put it here. And net profit after taxes. So general rule, if you have an LLC, you could make a quarterly tax payment. You have to make a quarterly tax payment actually. Well, here in New Jersey you do. I'm just going to include monthly/quarterly tax payment. Let's save that. So just in case, they'll tell you how much taxes they took out of your items. Or if you sell cash, then you have to pay taxes on certain items, and you want to, and you have to record it. Put taxes here. And net profit after taxes. And you have yourself your profit tracking sheet. Now I do this on a month-by-month basis. This is really bothering me. I'm going to label it red. That way I know not to put it here. There you go. Not using that anymore. It's good to keep track of your profits. I'm eventually going to color code this. I cannot stand the white background. This stirs me. Ever since I use Microsoft Excel, I color code everything. I don't know why, but I do. I like to. Well, that's my simple way of tracking inventory for now. It's very useful, especially seeing what sold where I listed it at. If I sold it and I know if I sold it and I highlighted it and I know I posted it in a different platform, it's like a quick reminder of, okay, if I'm not using any cross-listing software, I have to go into that platform and erase it, to the other platform and erase it. If I am using a cross-listing software and it allows me to erase from the actual software, then I'll just do it through there. But it's a good way to keep track of your stuff. Now, if you have any questions, recommendations, if you like these tracking sheets, I'm going to leave them in the description. Leave me a like. Comment if you have anything for me to add on there, or anything that you would recommend to anybody listening to the video that would be able to benefit from it. Comment on it. Leave your recommendations in the comments. Share this video, that way anybody that you know that's selling stuff on eBay, that'll be able to utilize these tracking sheets, they'll be able to go in the description and download them. It's a great tool to use, great way to track your inventory system. And hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll put up more videos later on of more of my daily life. Have fun. Also, more tips on how to increase your sales, what to do and what not to do on eBay, all that good stuff. So yeah, hit that like button, comment your recommendations. Any questions, leave me a comment or send me an email. And subscribe and share. Okay guys, that's it for today. I'll leave these tracking sheets on the description. Hasta la vista.